Well, good day, everybody. Today on our business spotlight, we have Brian Larkin from United Oil and Gas. Brian, you're very welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Tom.
So, tell us, I believe in your holiday home in Sligo today. Fantastic. What do you do, and how long have you been doing it?
Well, it's a good question. I'm an accountant by qualification and also an MBA, but I started an oil and gas business in 2015. We saw an opportunity in the market where oil price had crashed to about $12 a barrel at the time.
Mm.
And we just thought it was an opportunity to get into the price cycle and play the price cycle a little bit like a property play. And in fact, some of our early shareholders were property investors because they understood our investment thesis, which was basically buying oil and gas assets at the bottom of the price cycle. So when the price cycle washed out, you invariably had something worth more than what you paid for it. And with a bit of luck, we've managed to build a business on it.
Super. And when I say is buying and selling oil fields, is that your main business that you do?
No, it's like we've gone through various different strategies, and I speak about this with my team quite often. We've had growth phases. I mean, the first couple of years of the business was all about survival. It was what can we do to keep the lights on? What can we do to stay in the game for as long as possible? So the strategy evolved once we kind of had the foundations built and in place, and we bought some assets and sold them for a profit and reinvested that capital. We were able to use that as a foundation to actually evolve. And I think for us, our core objective is always delivering as much value as we can for our shareholders. We're now a publicly quoted company,
Hmm.
but that's our core objective. But our strategy on how we do that evolves, and it's that old saying, like, if you always do what you always done, you get the same thing. You probably won't. You probably get less because technology business is advancing so quickly. Um, but I think for us, we've seen an opportunity. We took it. The strategy evolved from there, and it became about developing assets for the longer term rather than just buying some, adding some value, and flipping them.
So you spend most of your time here in Ireland, but you also travel quite a bit, I presume, in your business.
Yeah, well, we had an Egyptian business which kept me down in Cairo quite a bit. We're now out of that business, but I spend probably 2 days a week in London. We also have a Jamaican business. We have the entire south coast of Jamaica, which is about the same size as the North Sea. It's a little bit like owning the North Sea in 1970 before there was any discovery. So we've about 40 prospects and leads and drill targets which we work.
Wow.
And we hope to drill a well there maybe in 2026 with a partner. But that's potentially, 7 billion barrels of recoverable oil. Now, I won't bore you with the technical detail, but the simple definition is if we had a success in Jamaica, it would double their annual GDP. They would have a sovereign wealth fund overnight. So it's a hugely exciting project. And
Wow.
that's where our core business is focused on now is offshore Jamaica. And we have a small team down there as well.
Well, we certainly be watching this space. So you mentioned your team there. So have your teams spread out around the world? Are they mainly focused here in Ireland and then move from here?
Yeah, well, our head office is in Baggot Street in Dublin, and we have a group there. But we also have a local office in Jamaica where we've got a couple of people down there for us as well, and we have a couple of consultants and contractors based out of London. So a little bit diverse, but I'm very very lucky. I've got remarkable people working in the team, and that's half the battle. That gives you a chance. Not only are they great at their jobs, they're great human beings, and if you have that, you have a chance. You have a chance of having some level of success.
That's a huge challenge for most businesses. So if I could ask you, how did you find them and what qualities were upmost in your mind that you were looking for in hiring those people?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's not a huge pool of oil and gas people knocking around Dublin, as you can
Yeah.
imagine. So everybody that works for United has been pretty much handpicked. But I think the biggest characteristics that I would look for in building a team rather than to the team is attitude, is a can-do
Yeah.
attitude,
Yeah.
entrepreneurial spirit. You know, I think more about the person first and the skill set second. Will they fit in with the team? Because I've got this wrong, and when you get it wrong, it's really bad.
Yeah.
Uh, the fit is absolutely critical. Do they buy into our culture, who we are, what we're trying to be? We're a small little Irish oil company trying to take on the world. And
Yeah.
that sounds wonderfully exciting, but you have a lot of bad days and you have a lot of good days. and how are they going to manage the bad days? Are they going to be okay? Are they going to be comfortable? Are they not going to panic? And how are they going to enjoy the good days? I think attitude is so important, and it's that old analogy. I don't know who said it, but I do quote it a lot. If you haven't got what is it? If you haven't got the attitude, you never get the skills. So getting somebody with the attitude is that fits in with our entrepreneurial culture is vital.
You got to have the hunger there as well for whatever it is to kind of better yourself as well. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's absolutely important. So if I can ask you a personal question, what was the biggest struggle you had now as a business owner? What did you struggle most with as you learned how to run the business?
Oh, lots of things really. I mean, the list is long for what we struggled with. I think the most pain I had was probably lack of capital at the beginning.
Mhm.
We had to make €1, £1, and $1 do the same job as £3, €3, and $3. So we had to really managing our cash. Cash is king. Managing cash at the early days it's still difficult. It's
Mhm.
always an ongoing challenge, but that's maybe what's caused me the most pain over the years. But I think again, I've been very lucky with the team that we've got around us. One of the things I think collectively as a group, our strongest attitude is perseverance. We don't give up. We've never ever given up, even when our backs have been on the wall, against the wall. We've never given up. We've always had this perseverance of solving the problem, whatever that problem might be.
Mhm.
We've always, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that if you're continuously solving problems, any problem that comes your way, you believe you're going to solve it. So anything that's caused us pain, we've managed to get through and navigate. But I would say what kept me, the only time I lost sleep was really making sure there's enough capital coming into the business.
Excellent. And on the personal side, then,
Yes,
what what inspired you most? Was there anyone in particular that inspired you most?
there
And
was. There was. I'm very fortunate. I got to work for two of my business heroes in Sir Anthony O'Reilly and Aidan Heavey.
until a
Aidan,
while. Hmm.
yeah, and Aidan is a very close friend and became a very strong mentor to me. I was blessed to have been able to work with those guys. That was. I mean, if you're not going to learn something from those guys, you might as well throw the towel in.
Yeah.
The success that they've achieved in their lifetimes has just been
Yeah.
incredible. I always say if we 10% of their success, our shareholders will be deliriously happy.
Isn't that fantastic? So last question I can ask you.
Yeah.
For those are the younger entrepreneurs amongst us, and maybe some of the slightly older ones as well, what advice would you give to an 18-year-old you?
Oh, patience, 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 Brian. Young Brian, be patient. I'm not a patient man. I'm 44 now, and I'm not patient. And I probably should have believed in myself a bit more when I was younger. My confidence was earned rather than inherent within me. I earned my confidence, I guess. But I think patience and trust the process. It's a terrible cliche, but trusting the process is really important. If you believe in what you're doing wholeheartedly, follow it. And the other thing I'd also say to myself, particularly around patience, everything starts with an idea. And that idea, when it gets to fruition, might be completely different from what you thought it would look like and from where you thought you were starting from. The key to that, though, is taking action. And I probably would have encouraged myself to take action younger in my career because you don't know where it will lead you. The amount of conversations I've had or ideas we've had that we thought were going to go that way ended up going that way and bringing us in a much better direction. But the starting process is take action. So I think be patient, trust the process, and get stuff done.
Fantastic. And I didn't pay you to say take action there, by the way, just for our
Oh, yeah.
listeners. So next thing, the next few years are going to be interesting for you with this big potential off the coast of Jamaica.
Yeah.
So where would you see yourselves and your company in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I hope we will have delivered a successful drilling program in Jamaica, and we're now moving forward with the Jamaican government to develop their first production, their first barrel of oil, and their first gas. So that's what I really hope we are in 5 years' time. That's what we're working towards. Our projects tend to roll on 5 to 7 year cycles. So if we drill a well there in 2026, and if it's successful, it'll be life-changing for our shareholders. It'll be life-changing for the people of Jamaica. But then we'll be into a development of that asset to get it into long-term production, which will be continuous drilling of multiple wells, hookups, and then hopefully working with the government to develop the infrastructure, create employment, and really leverage what we could bring in terms of the success of this potential project.
Brian Larkin, United Oil and Gas, thank you so much for your time today. I hope everyone's learned a lot from that. I've certainly enjoyed it. We'll follow this with great interest. I wish you the very best in the very near future, and we'll talk again at a later stage. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. My pleasure.